Just to let everybody know that our program will be starting in, well, Kelsey probably wants it exactly 6 minutes, but we'll be starting soon, so if you want to top up your refreshments and then obviously take your seats, but as you can see, everybody is, so. All right, thank you. All right. Welcome to the University of Saskatchewan College of Engineering 45th C.J. Mackenzie Gala of Engineering Excellence. To begin this evening's program, please join me in inviting Liam Newman, a first-year engineering student, to open our formal program with the ceremonial bagpiping in. This honors the tradition and celebrates the heritage this night was founded on. I ask that you please stand. By way of Scottish tradition, we pay the piper with a shot of scotch.
Sláinte.
Wait a second, he's first year. Do you have your license on you?
Good evening.
Hey, sit, sorry.
Good evening. It is with great pride and pleasure that we welcome you tonight. Thank you to those who are here in person and those watching through the live broadcast. We may be separated by distance, but we are here together in purpose.
As we gather with gratitude for fellowship and shared professional values, we acknowledge our deep connection and responsibility to the land, our shared heritage, and to the people who built this country. We are here today on the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 6 and the homeland of the Métis. Since the time of the treaties, Canada has welcomed diverse communities whose varied ancestry enriches this heritage, binding us more closely to a global community and to the planet we call home. Our nation's history makes us all treaty people.
Tonight, we have the honor of being your MCs. My name is Natasha Bazawi. I'm a fourth-year mechanical engineering student and the president of the Mechanical Engineering Students Association.
And my name is Dustin Archdeacon. I'm a third-year mechanical engineering student, and I'm involved in several student groups, including the Husky Formula Racing Team and the Mechanical Engineering Students Association. I've also had the pleasure of working with the College of Engineering in creating new lab equipment for the re-engineered first-year program. Natasha and I stand on stage in front of a small group tonight, but for the first time in C.J. Mackenzie Gala history, we are joined through the live broadcast, going to show that true to College of Engineering ethos, we chose to innovate and create an experience that includes all members of this community. We would like to now give you a brief history lesson of the C.J. Mackenzie Gala of Engineering Excellence. There will probably be a pop quiz, so make sure you take notes.
In 1976, Dr. Mel Hossein and Dr. Joe Chadobiak started an annual Distinguished Graduate Lecture Series in the College of Engineering. The event was to honor alumni who have reached a special level of achievement in the engineering profession. It was renamed the Chalmers Jack Mackenzie, or C.J. Mackenzie, to honor the first dean of the College of Engineering at the University of Saskatchewan.
In addition to being the first dean of our college, C.J. Mackenzie is known for designing and building Saskatoon's unique Broadway Bridge, a project to help the unemployed during the Great Depression. He was a leader in developing nuclear research in Canada and became the president of the National Research Council in 1944.
In 1984, when C.J. Mackenzie passed away, the college adopted the Mackenzie dress tartan as its own, as you can see by the scarf and tie we and others are wearing here tonight. This evening's celebrations are all about the great work of people, from C.J. Mackenzie to our distinguished lecturer and many others here in the audience this evening. It is about celebrating the dedication of engineers and our true work, serving the world. We all aspire to follow in their footsteps.
So, Natasha, when you were a kid and someone asked you what you wanted to be when you grew up, what did you say?
Well, at my kindergarten introduction assembly, I told the whole school that I wanted to work at a pizza restaurant just like my parents.
So then what changed?
Well, my first job did end up being at a pizza restaurant, but like most future engineers, I loved math and science throughout high school. And so when the time came to decide what I wanted to study in university, I chose engineering. What about you?
Well, I wanted to be a marine biologist because I love to swim. But I grew up in the most landlocked province in Canada, so that didn't work out. It took some time for me to actually find engineering. I started by working as a mechanic, and then an engine builder, and then a machinist. But now as a mature student, I realized that the answer to that question might change, but we should always keep asking it.
You're right. Even now as an engineering student, I'm constantly being asked which industry I want to work in, where I want to work, and simply what's next. So I was curious, what did our department head of mechanical engineering, Dr. Jim Bugg, want to do when he grew up? His response: I wanted to be a farmer or design farm equipment. Astrophysics interested me as well, but only because being called an astrophysicist would sound cool.
We are all here tonight at this gala of engineering excellence because at one point in our lives, when somebody asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up, we said an engineer.
As we celebrate engineering, we would like to welcome a few of our distinguished guests to share a few words. Along with your remarks, we would like to ask each of you to share what you also wanted to do when you grow up. Please join me in welcoming the University of Saskatchewan's Vice President, University Relations, Dr. Deborah Pozega-Osborne, to the stage.
Thank you for the question. You know, when I was a youngster, for the longest time, I wanted to play in the National Basketball Association. It honestly never struck me that there were no 5'3" women playing in the NBA. It wasn't until high school gym class when it became evident that I could not, nor would I ever learn how to shoot a layup, that I realized I probably needed a backup plan. By that time, actually, I realized I had a bit of a talent as a storyteller. And by the time I was out of high school, I wanted to be a sports writer, and I actually was for the first part of my career. And there weren't very many 5'3" females doing that back in the 1970s either. So it was a great start to the career, and look where I've ended up. Funny how things go for you sometimes. It really is my great honor and pleasure to be here this evening to speak on the behalf of the University of Saskatchewan. I would like to thank our elder for starting us off in a good way. We appreciated that very much. And I would like to also acknowledge that we are situated here in a city in Saskatoon that I think is just the perfect place for us to be situated in as a university that is focused so much on innovation. Our university is a place for new ideas, new thinking, The city values that, and encourages this and is our partner in it in so many ways. Just one example is the recent collaboration between the city and the university on wastewater testing, which has helped determine our way forward on COVID-19 so many times. I want to acknowledge our distinguished guest and lecturer this evening, Mr. Myron Stadnik. His wife, Jennifer, he is most deserving of this honor, and I am excited for tonight's lecture, which I understand will have a special resonance for our students. Dean Suzanne Cresta, my friend, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your leadership in the College of Engineering as you continue to advance the academic and research agendas of one of our most historic colleges. To our industry representatives and sponsors, including Graham, here tonight, your presence speaks volumes about your support for the university. You help us be what the world needs. It's also a pleasure, as I look around the room, to be joined by the USask engineering faculty and students who are here representing the disciplines within the college. You're the heart of the college, and it's wonderful to see you here tonight. The C.J. Mackenzie Gala is a cornerstone event in the university calendar. I know I always make a point of attending. And with this event being made widely available through the live broadcast and interactive virtual platform, we're excited that we can continue to connect with students, industry, and alumni, not just in this room, on the other side of town, elsewhere in the province, elsewhere in Canada, and all over the world. This university is proud to be a member of Canada's U15. What does that mean? Of the 96 post-secondary institutions in this country, we are one of Canada's top 15 research-intensive medical doctoral universities, top 15. We can't be a part of this distinguished group. We could not be a part of this distinguished group if we did not have a strong College of Engineering with this impressive research tradition and the bold direction for the future. The quality and the capability of our engineering students are greatly ahead of the curve. They're resourceful, they're skilled, and they get things done. And with re-engineered, the college's completely redesigned first-year program, we're doing a better job than ever of preparing our students to succeed and thrive as they complete their degrees and begin their careers as professional engineers. USask Engineering indeed is developing engineers the world needs. Their role on the front lines might not always be visible to the person on the street, but make no mistake, they are there providing essential services.
Testing 1, 2.
Thank you very much. It's all good. As I was saying, USask Engineering, and I can't say this too many times, Dean Cresta, is developing the engineers the world needs. Their role on the front lines might not always be visible to the person on the street, but make no mistake, they are providing the essential services that are needed to keep our communities going, keeping the lights on, ensuring we have clean water, building transportation networks to keep our supply chains intact, you name it, and so much more. In fact, it was professional engineers who were critical as vaccine manufacturing was scaled up around the world. And closer to home, surveillance of Saskatoon wastewater for COVID-19 has been this remarkable success story. I mentioned that a minute or two ago. It has reliably tracked how quickly the virus is spreading, and it's provided information that decision makers need, especially on campus, but also throughout the city and region. Engineers Carrie McFedrin and Mohsen Asadi were key members of this multidisciplinary team, and it was a multidisciplinary team. They are certainly terrific examples of engineers the world needs. This gala was built on the tradition of bringing together the engineering community and celebrating the accomplishments and progress and growth of our own. C.J. Mackenzie has been described as the single most important figure of post-war growth in Canadian science. No other institution can say that about their first dean. His legacy lives on in the accomplishments of those who have been part of the college over the past 100+ years. The C.J. Mackenzie Gala of Engineering Excellence is an important way that we keep this legacy alive. I know that Myron Stadnyk is incredibly proud to be honored at an event that bears C.J. Mackenzie's name. Myron has approached every circumstance and opportunity with humility and grace, and gives wholeheartedly to achieve each success. Through his impressive contributions and leadership in the field of oil and gas, he's leaving a legacy of his own, which is clear tonight by the outpouring of support shown for this event. I'm really privileged to be here tonight, privileged to be here on behalf of a university that I respect and will continue to advocate for. And this university, the University of Saskatchewan, seeks and aspires to be the university the world needs. We are convinced that our College of Engineering is essential to our ability to do that. And we are honoring here tonight a wonderful and accomplished alumnus, which is a great privilege for me. Thank you for having me here, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Dr. Posega Osborne. As you can imagine, an event like the C.J. Mackenzie Gala could not happen without the generous support of our thorough family. At this time, we would like to recognize our sponsors. Presenting sponsor, Graham. Gold sponsors, Co-op Refinery Complex, Victory Majors, and Mancal Group. Silver sponsors, AODBT, Architecture and Interior Design, ASL Paving, ARC Resources, and Crescent Point Energy. Our title sponsor, Graham, has been a long-standing supporter of the College of Engineering students and the C.J. Mackenzie Gala. Please join me in welcoming Graham's Senior Vice President of Construction, Industrial, and Civil, Saskatoon, June Verhelst.
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of Graham, I want to congratulate the College of Engineering and Dr. Cresta on their 45th C.J. Mackenzie. You pulled it off again. I remember when I graduated, C.J. Mackenzie was in a very small room. It was very low profile. A lot of people didn't go, and you've really turned it into an event for industry and students and faculty, and you really have done a spectacular job with it over the years. I want to congratulate Myron Stadnyk and his wife Jennifer on their accomplishment here tonight, speaking following many distinguished lecturers. Very impressive career you've had, and can't wait to hear more about it. And I just want to say that Graham is so proud of its U of S engineering graduates. And through the years, the work ethic, the innovation, and the work that the U of S College puts into developing its students is in every job in Graham, you will find a U of S engineer knocking it out of the park. You'll find them in executives, you'll find them on infrastructure sites, you'll find them on building sites, you'll find them in potash plants and industrial plants. You'll find them up at chemicals mines. You'll find them everywhere. And they do set apart, and they're good at mentoring and coaching others. And I think that we have recognized that as a company. This year we're going to be a $4 billion company from our humble roots in Moose Jaw and Estevan. And we are modeling a first-year program of how to incorporate engineers into our business and how to cross-train them and how to get them to all the areas of business that Graham has to offer and all the different geographies. So I think that that speaks volumes. So thanks everyone for supporting this event. I'm so proud of Dr. Cresta, and I am privileged to sit on her advisory board with some other industry people, and I think that, you know, that industry interface, the indigenization, keeping your eye on diversity, social issues, risk, environmental issues, and really keeping on innovating and moving in step with industry, I think that that's going to speak volumes in the future, and as Deborah said many times, be what the world needs. So thanks, everyone.
I'd like to thank everybody for your patience with our technical difficulties here. Yeah, thank you, June, for your words. That was lovely. I would like to call to the stage our fearless leader, the Dean of the College of Engineering, Dr. Suzanne Cresta.
Thanks, Dustin. All right. I was going to give them another test, but clearly that's not on yet. So thank you again. I went through lots of iterations of what do you want to be when I grow up. And it was really clear really early that I was very interested in writing, believe it or not. And that was the last thing I got done on my 20-year-old wish list. So it's been a wonderful ride, and I don't think we can ever predict where we were going to land. And Myron and I were saying earlier today, I'm like, how did this happen to us? Like, we just got up in the morning and did our jobs, and look where we ended up. It's kind of cool. So again, thank you, Dustin and Natasha. Good evening, colleagues, students, members of our community, and welcome. Welcome to everyone who's joining us online. We're thrilled to have you with us. And this is something that we hope to continue because it is so wonderful to be able to invite people that for one reason or another can't make it to be here with us physically. And this is a lesson that we want to carry forward to be as inclusive as we possibly can. We're here tonight to celebrate the legacy of our first dean, C.J. Mackenzie, and to recognize the accomplishments of our distinguished lecturer, Myron Stadnyk, a graduate of our Department of Mechanical Engineering. While Myron is a familiar figure to many of us, we're also delighted to welcome his wife, Jennifer, and his parents, Rosemarie and Maurice Stadnyk, to the event. We're thrilled you could be with us tonight. A warm hello to all of the students, faculty, staff, alumni, and partners who are joining us even beyond our Prairie Land location. We're thrilled that you're choosing to experience the C.J. Mackenzie Gala, perhaps in your pajamas, but certainly from the comfort of your own home. I sincerely thank you for joining us, and to those of you who sent messages earlier today to cheer us on. Thanks also to our sponsors who make this evening possible. Graham Construction, this year's presenting sponsor, and I'll be checking in with June Verhelst later to find out what she wanted to be when she grew up, because I really want to know. Thank you as well to our gold sponsors, the Co-op Refinery Complex, Mancal Group, Victory Majors, and our silver sponsors, AODBT, ARC Resources, ASL Paving, and Crescent Point Energy. I want to put out a special welcome to Elder Tim Ishapi, and I want to pick up on the thread that Deborah passed us about the wastewater treatment monitoring, and I want to share a little bit of the backstory on that project, because Kerry McFedrin and his collaborators had tried to get funding for this project, and they were just about to give up. And one of the things that Kerry does is he works with Indigenous communities on water quality. So he called up his Indigenous partners and they said, we'll sign on, we'll support you. And it was with their foresight and their support that he was able to get the funding to get that project off the ground and carry it forward. Time and time again, when I've met with members of Indigenous communities, their vision for the future is very bright. And I'm thrilled to have had the opportunity to teach our first-year students with Elder Tim's help this fall. We got them putting up a teepee. We got them thinking about the meaning of the teepee and of Indigenous technology, and we had a lot of fun. So it's been a gift to collaborate with him. It's a gift to the community around us that we have the wastewater treating tests that we need so much right now, and that will allow us to return to face-to-face classes next week. So a thank you to that foresight and that collaboration. A warm welcome also to Deborah Pizaga Osborne, who helped to recruit me to the University of Saskatchewan and had a Saskatchewan branded notebook delivered to my hotel room in time for the interview. And that little boost and that mentorship from someone that I have so much respect for, really it's lovely to have you here with us tonight, Deborah, and just a lovely, lovely set of comments. Our college appreciates this opportunity to share this celebration of our alumni and the role our talented engineering graduates play in showing that USask really is the university the world needs. And when I say the university the world needs, I mean the university your world needs. However you define your world, that's where we want to show up powerfully. And that's who we can be for this province and as leaders in the global community. Tonight, we celebrate one of our own who is as down to earth as anyone I have ever met. And I grew up in the Maritimes, so we're pretty down to earth. He's on a very short list of people I might aspire to be like when I finally grow up. Myron's sense of playfulness and fun has not dimmed with time. He's a gentle mentor and a wonderful leader with a special place in all of our hearts. When we ask our students, who do you want to be? They often think of leaders like Myron and how they make a difference in the lives of the people they lead and the companies they build. In my comments tonight, I want to expand a little bit, again on what Deborah mentioned, on the work done throughout the pandemic by those in essential services. Engineers and tradespeople we all know, but who are largely ignored in the media. And a lot of the time we kind of like it that way. I've heard many stories of courage over the course of the last 4 years, and I think everyone in this room has at least one. At a point in time where we're all poised to move forward, a time when we can share our stories in community once more, I hope that my own reflections help us all to remember how very much we can be proud of as engineers. I'm going to share some stories from my immediate family because a lot of the stories I get to hear as the dean are not ones I can share publicly, but these are stories that follow a theme that threads through every day in the work that I do. My immediate family now has 6 engineers around the dinner table. They all contribute directly to essential services. My ex works at Syncrude R&D, and early in the pandemic, he did exposure modeling to determine how to best protect their employees, to prove to the Alberta government that they could safely continue to operate their plant, keeping gasoline in ambulances and taxis and transport trucks. My daughter, Jessica, works in that dream job for mechanical engineers, a plant where they blend all of the water-based car maintenance fluids for the prairie regions. Blow mold bottles, fill the bottles, box them, make the boxes, assemble them onto pallets, and ship out windshield wiper fluid. Just like in the show, How Is It Made? That wiper fluid keeps those same vehicles on the road operating safely. Her partner works in operations and maintenance in a coal-fired power plant, soon to be converted to gas-fired. He literally keeps the lights on and was on the plant floor throughout the pandemic.
My daughter Rebecca builds airplane parts in the Greater Montreal region. Her team of 120 people shrank to 40 almost overnight early in the pandemic. She decided this was a good time to go to work for Doctors Without Borders on their supply chain and logistics team. Last year, she worked on reproductive and maternal health in the heart of Africa in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. For the next 6 months, she'll be building a 30-bed field clinic to support flood recovery work in the South Sudan. So in the Congo, where the power supply is shaky and the supply chain is compromised because the road quality is so poor that a truck can get through about once every 3 months. A bad day in her working life was when they lost the cold chain and critical blood transfusions had to be thrown out. So it's a different kind of logistics than we sometimes think about. They delivered 300 babies a week in her little village of Walikali. So most of the things were delivered by UN helicopter. On average, it would take her 5 days to get out on her mandatory leaves because the flights were not reliable. She would tell us tonight that the most important indicator of health is a strong engineering infrastructure. Clean water, good roads, solid communications. The life expectancy in Canada is 83. In our Indigenous communities, it's almost 10 years less. And I think we can agree that the reasons for this include and also go beyond unmet infrastructure needs. In the DRC, the life expectancy is 61. So when you look on the maps, you don't see a lot of COVID deaths because their vulnerable communities are just not there. And in the South Sudan, it's 58. So I want to contrast her work with her partner's work. Jordan is a software engineer interested in artificial intelligence. His team rapidly developed and scaled chatbots for online shopping support in real time during the pandemic. So all of you that ordered your groceries online, there was somebody scaling those things up in real time to make it possible for seniors to get help in large numbers when they needed it most. His discipline also gave us e-health records, meaning rapidly communicated COVID test results, and I certainly was very happy to get mine as soon as they were available, and QR codes that celebrated our newly minted vaccination status and helped us reopen so many things and gather safely here tonight. My role as dean is one part of my life as an engineer. My research in turbulent mixing feeds directly into the scale-up of vaccines. So one of my mentors was involved in the scale-up of HIV medicines. And this can be a bit of a roller coaster. It's hard for us to remember tonight that 1 year ago, we were impatiently waiting on engineers to solve those scale-up problems and bring vaccination production online instantly from test tubes to whole countries. We can't simply switch out a production line overnight to move through those big scale-up factors. But the scale-up of COVID vaccines actually went remarkably smoothly. The somewhat dramatized anxiety of press reports notwithstanding. All of these engineers are people that we can reach out and touch with 1 degree of separation or less, and they play a critical role in keeping the machinery of society running. We work within constrained resources, have to make hard choices to prioritize expenditures, and we commit to keeping our teams safe under conditions that can sometimes be very challenging. While we don't grab the headlines for saving lives one at a time, there is no doubt that we touch lives in very, very meaningful ways, and that our work transforms both the health of our population and our economy. Saskatchewan needs our profession now more than ever. I remain grateful for the colleagues I have the honor and the privilege of working with, and for the tremendous impact we can have for the greater good. It's easy to go to work in the morning when you feel that what you're doing has a meaningful impact on the lives of the people around you. As we look towards the future of our college, my favorite topic these days, I am so energized by the opportunities in front of us. With our President's Post-Pandemic Shift project, we confirmed the need to walk the talk of lifelong learning and to engage in new ways with our professional community. We're on the verge of releasing the results of a building planning project that will ensure that we have sustainable renewal and uplift of our existing building, along with a significant addition. This project recognizes the integral role that the college plays in the success of the university and of the provincial economy, and it's been placed as one of the university's core projects for the next 10 years. Thanks to the rollout of our re-engineered first-year program, our enrollment has increased 2 years in a row, and we're looking forward to an even bigger first-year class next year. I'm excited for us to continue this work in the College of Engineering together, and I invite all of you to share that journey with us. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Sounds like it's working now.
Thank you, Dean Cresta. Now the time we have all been waiting for. It is our honor to introduce and welcome to the stage a mechanical engineering alumnus and our distinguished lecturer, Mr. Myron M Stadnik. Mr. Stadnik has over 35 years of oil and gas experience and is the recently retired president and CEO of ARC Resources. Mr. Stadnik was the first operations employee at ARC after the company's initial public offering. He then progressed to COO in 2005, president in 2009, and finally CEO in 2013. Prior to ARC, Mr. Stadnik worked with a major oil and gas company in both domestic and international operations and project management. Myron's experience includes project design, construction, commissioning, and operations of energy infrastructure, including liquefied natural gas experience in Asia. Myron holds a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Saskatchewan and is a graduate of the Harvard Business School Advanced Management Program. He is a member of the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists of Alberta and served as a governor for the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers for over 10 years. He also currently holds board positions for Prairie Sky Royalty, Crescent Point Energy, Mancal Group, and is board chair for the University of Saskatchewan College of Engineering's Engineering Advancement Trust. Myron has served on multiple charitable boards, recently ending a 6-year term with the board of Stars Air Ambulance.
Myron was born in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, to Rosemary and Maurice Stadnik. I got the pleasure of meeting them today. That was wonderful. Myron calls North Battleford his hometown, and his parents still reside there. Myron and his wife, Jennifer, have 3 children and 4 grandchildren. Before Myron joins us on stage, he has asked us to share a little bit more about the Engineering Advancement Trust. In 1978, the College of Enginering's Dean Peter Neforik launched the first Canada-wide fundraising drive to ensure a newly renovated college was equipped with industry-ready equipment and technology for future students. Graduates answered the call, and the movement that created the Engineering Advancement Trust was born. The EAT continues to ensure that engineering education in USask remains engaging and on the leading edge of the changing professional landscape. With a background in manufacturing, I was especially excited about the new CNC equipment that was purchased by the group. This equipment will allow students to gain experience machining components that they designed. Hopefully, this will be the stepping stone for machinists actually liking engineers for once. I'm honored to open Myron's address with a video that showcases the GE 123 statics lab kits. They were designed for the re-engineered first-year program through Engineering Advancement Trust funding.
We are adapting how our students learn from textbooks to hands-on learning. And the change comes from within. My name is Sean Ma. I'm the Huff Chair in Innovative Teaching in the College of Engineering, and I am one of the co-developers of the re-engineered first year.
Hi, I'm Dustin Archdeacon, and I'm in third year mechanical. So as a mature student, I started out after high school going to racing school. So I ended up building engines, came back to Canada, realized that the machining aspect of building race engines was what really drew me into the manufacturing area. So I ended up doing CNC machining for about 5 years, and what brought me to engineering was I ended up working for a small shop here at the University of Saskatchewan, helped university profs as well as students work on design. So once I figured out, I really liked the design portion, I decided to come back to school after 10 years and go into engineering. How I got involved with the first year redesign was actually started in my first year. In class with Sean Ma, I was the guy that always asked the questions and then helping other students out in tutorial sessions and such, and he noticed that, and he decided that after talking to me and realizing I had some machining experience and building experience, he decided to bring me on over the summer to actually create the lab experiments for other students as a student. And I really liked it because I got to actually put my input on how I learned, and then I figured out how maybe other students could learn too.
Our new statics lab kit offers exciting opportunities for student learning. Basically, we can bring almost everything in the textbook to life. And the students are going to get to play with these lab materials when they want, how they want. And so they're going to be able to engage in exploratory learning, which we're very excited about.
When we were doing the research to look for what we wanted this kit to do, and it has never been done, or we couldn't find one that would do a good job of it. And what's neat about it is I've actually incorporated a tool that mechanics would use, or any kind of tradesman, that they would actually see this type of torque on their torque wrench when they're working with it in industry. As well as being able to measure with the torque wrench, we will be able to feel the moment. So a couple moment is not generally something that an engineer can feel, and with this kit we are able to feel what a couple moment would feel like with this kit.
Without partners like the EAT believing in the re-engineered first year program, opportunities like this just wouldn't exist. We're working hard to create better and more diversified student learning experiences.
Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Myron M Stadnik.
So when we ask ourselves that question, who will you be? What are the answers? Passionate, grateful, supportive, caring, giving, engaged. What did I know about who I would be back in the 1980s when I was a student sitting in the same spot that you are now? My guess is we have a lot in common. Here are a few things that I knew with certainty. I knew I truly enjoyed teamwork, and I valued it. Here's a photo of the 1985 Equipment Advancement Fund Student Fundraising Group. This team is one example of the many groups that I enjoyed working with my classmates on as a student. I continue to enjoy teamwork to this day, and this photo really makes me smile because now I'm the chair of this Engineering Advancement Fund as a board member, 37 years later. And we were a results-focused team. The important thing to us on there was 92% participation rate of the graduating students making a charitable commitment to their college. So while I'm on the topic, I'd like to thank the alumni that are listening, and I know there's many of you that have funded the students and supported this over the decades. Thank you, alumni. And when you're in the hallways, you can see the red footprints marking the way to the lab equipment that's been bought over the many years, and your generosity is appreciated. What else did I know back in the 1980s? Well, I knew I was in love with Jennifer, and we joined in marriage in 1987. We have 3 kids, 4 grandkids. I also knew that I loved my hometown, North Battleford. I was really proud of my small Saskatchewan family. 1 sister, 2 brothers, and 36 first cousins. I like traveling. I enjoyed aviation. I like sports, and I like canoeing northern rivers with my dad. So back to engineering. I really need to emphasize that I really enjoyed the learning that engineering offered, the variety, my summer jobs in energy, working with farm equipment. I worked on road construction. I was happy in university when I was doing labs and projects, machine design, and I actually liked economics for engineers. I was also learning about the work ethic required to persevere through the mountain of work that engineering students are expected to do at university. Another key learning was actually gaining insights into what I wasn't good at, as I suffered through chemistry and I suffered through detailed physics calculations. Yet it all ended well. By 1985, I earned my degree, and I actually had an iron ring on my finger, just like my friend Tom Puchala. Weren't we a wise-looking old people? This is actually an authentic photo taken of my super brain friend Tom with real Kodak film on the night we received our rings. So now I've graduated, and after graduation, I was set to start my career, marriage, and developing our family, and I kept working on that question, who will I be? And I would say the age 20s, was a defining and validating era. I started by working in industry for a multinational energy producer, and I took every opportunity I could to learn. I made it my priority to be dedicated to the company, and I was rewarded with opportunities to learn about project management, to learn about construction, and to learn about the business of oil and gas. I spent significant time at operating sites, and I gained experience that paid back in spades for the rest of my career. And I began to understand the people dynamics from the head office to the remote working locations. And one of the things that I learned was that by building trust, teams could accomplish a lot, even when we were hundreds of miles apart. And there was actually no email back then. I also lived in a lot of sketchy hotels. My early career mentor was Bill Kanoshta, an incredible person who shared his practical knowledge with me, and thank you, Bill. I continued to learn more about myself when they stuck me in a windowless room to do computer simulations of a chemical process in head office. My stomach started to churn just like those university exams. It was even worse as people were still allowed to smoke cigars in their offices, and the smoke wafted into the computer area. Some of their ashtrays were honestly the size of Frisbees. Sadly, I learned through tragedy as well. What happened on February 10th, 1988 had a huge impact on how I would answer the question of who will I be. My friend Kevin was killed in an industrial accident through a gas release of hydrogen sulfide. There were also two other victims, Murray and Spencer was the only one to survive. As a plant engineer, I was on the first responder team to the incident. That's 34 years ago, and I think about it often. When I ask, who will I be, I feel there's an obligation to use my knowledge and prioritize safety. This can be done by engineering out safety hazards, as well as designing thoughtful behavioral processes. A simple example is to take advanced driver training. And at our company, we always had an experienced driver accompany students or new employees on their first drive to an unfamiliar field location. I believe being safe and encouraging safe behavior is a sign of respect for your fellow workers, and no one wants to go home from work injured. And shifting gears, there were incredible high points. Our son Anthony was born in 1988. When I asked myself, who will I be? There was no more important question. I was a dad. We were further blessed with our daughters, Carissa and Anastasia. My career continued with the same company to become a project engineer on a technically complex, multi-billion-dollar investment. We started with an empty field, and after 4 years of hard work, we commissioned a world-class sulfur, natural gas, and liquids processing facility. The sulfur was pelletized and transported by rail to Vancouver, where it was exported as it's used to make fertilizer globally. I was able to see a lot. The manufacturing of equipment across North America, 1,200 tradesmen building this facility, and I was on an exponential learning curve. I remember the sulfur converter vessels, which had to be built at a specialty machine workshop in British Columbia. They were so big, we could only rail half of one vessel at a time through the spiral tunnels back to Alberta. After welding the vessels together in Edmonton, the team had to organize lifts of over 100 power lines to transport the vessel on its final journey from Edmonton to the construction site. This project was an environmental leader with 99.9% of the sulfur removed from the natural gas. We also incorporated sophisticated energy management techniques. My mentor on this project was a professional engineer named Al Tuji, and gas plant operators like Neil Stewart, John Seelan, and Doug Yalty. These guys were amazing, and they could actually make the stuff that the engineers designed work. I loved working with this team, and I learned how much the trades can teach engineers. When you see the expertise of welders and heavy equipment operators and pipe fitters and electricians and computer programmers all working together, it's like an orchestra. I always remember the sulfur plant operator, Guy Stewart, bringing me the first sulfur from the facility in a little styrofoam cup. After this Alberta project was completed, I then jumped at an opportunity to work outside of Canada. With a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old in tow, Jennifer and I moved to the island of Borneo. We would live in Malaysia with engineering offices in Japan and Singapore, and we worked designing and constructing facilities to liquefy natural gas, which is called LNG. To give you a sense of the scale, one pipe feeding the plant would be the equivalent of 10% of Canada's entire natural gas production, and the partners were building 3 such facilities at the time. We had so many wonderful experiences. I was privileged to work with many people from many cultures, and to me, working in this diversity was just absolute joy. You know, starting with Lunar New Year and the fireworks, which today's the start of the Year of the Tiger. We celebrated that. We celebrated Gawai Dayak, which is the rice harvest festival of the Iban people. Deepavali, which is beautiful lights. We watched parades that celebrated religious beliefs, as well as Christmas and Easter, and many more. Malaysia uses the British road rules, so we got to drive on the wrong side of the road, and I only smashed up 1 car. Unfortunately, they didn't have the rule of showing the new guy how to drive to unfamiliar locations. The people of Malaysia and Asia were incredibly kind to us, and it was a very special time. Good story about it. When we returned to Calgary, the one unique carryover that made the restaurant servers in Calgary smile is when our kids would point at fish in the aquariums in the restaurant and ask the Canadian chefs to cook them the big fish, not knowing that those were pets in Canada. So at this point, I've completed just over 10 years with a multinational company, and my career is aligning with my interests. Managing projects was fun. I was learning about responsibility for other people's well-being, such as safety management. I had opportunity to mentor people. And I was feeling that my work was important to my family's well-being. And I was learning what I didn't like and stopped doing that. Looking back, it is so interesting that I really was aligning my passions and my vocation as a professional engineer. So as I continued the journey of who will I be, returning back to Canada, I looked to continue to align opportunities with my values. So let's think about this. I just returned from an exciting international assignment. My job at the multinational company was great. It offered a pension plan. It offered benefits. It offered perceived job security. And it offered potential advancement up the ladder. However, in being true to myself, I had to ask what was best for my family. I was only in my early 30s, and Jennifer and I were already living in our 8th house, and many hotels, some bad ones. We wanted to give our kids connection to home, the same way I connect with North Battleford. So I interviewed with 5 companies, ranging from large international companies to startup companies, to assess if I had any attractive options. I had a meeting with John Dilward and Doug Bonner from ARC, who encouraged me to meet Mac Van Wielingen, who was the leader at ARC. This interview with Mac was one of the most important events of my life. Mac asked me a lot about family, and we talked for hours about the business. I felt very authentic, except for the pinstripe suit I was wearing. Mac's wisdom in the interview can be summarized as follows, I think. He knew that the way I valued my family would ultimately be how I engaged with my new work family. He was asking me to be true to myself. So here we go. Mac, John, and Doug invite me to join ARC with a compelling offer with no pension plan, no benefits, no job security maybe, startup, and definitely no ladder to advance on. I took the job. I then started to work with an amazing team, including Susan, Steve, Doug, John, and Al. It was a leadership opportunity to build and create. Many things felt right. So now I'm a leader at this new company, and my first job is to start the field operations. We need to hire staff and lease trucks for the team to work in the field. Sounds easy, right? Except no one will lease vehicles to me because ARC is an unknown company. So I had to figure this out. The Royal Bank was able to provide me with a very official looking piece of paper, about that big, called a credit reference form. After talking up ARC and presenting the form to a small town GMC dealership, he then leased me 5 trucks. This was so effective and I was so happy that I filled my briefcase with these forms. So we could get some workover rigs and some contractors and the many other things, services we needed to run an energy operation. I point this out to you as engineers to make sure you make a few friends over on the finance side of the campus. The engineering in ARC was always focused on managing risk, honoring economics, and included visionary thinking. I felt we were way ahead, and one example is winning environmental awards over 20 years ago. One example is that in British Columbia, we were focused on carbon reduction, and we're able to energize our industrial facilities with hydropower. There was a great level of ingenuity in the company, and ARC was actually the first company to drill a horizontal well in the Montney geological formation, which is now known as one of the world's largest natural gas deposits. So what happened during my time at ARC? So many wonderful things, and I worked with so many great people. I'll try to summarize for you some of the key outcomes. But it's really important to me to say to you that these are not my accomplishments, but they're the aggregate accomplishments of the many people of ARC whom I was privileged to lead over my 20 years as an officer and over 10 years as the president. So let's look at some of these accomplishments. Firstly, a company was created that continues to flourish. The company is succeeding with its next CEO, and it's one of Canada's top natural gas producers, with significant liquids production and exceptional ESG performance. What else happened? ARC grew from a handful of employees that I gave you some of the names to over 500 people during my time there. And at times there were thousands of contractors. I can't imagine a better outcome than having been part of a team to create employment for people. There is such dignity in work that comes to families when they have meaningful work, and ARC helped that cause. Another important thing is that corporations have to work with government. And in oil and gas, we pay what are called royalties for being able to access the resources in the provinces that are owned by the people. During my time there, ARC paid $3 billion in royalties to Western Canadian governments. The Saskatchewan Children's Hospital on our campus cost $285 million. So to put that in perspective, ARC's contributions could have funded over 10 hospitals of a similar nature across Western Canada. Fourthly, we paid over $6 billion of dividends to our shareholders. The company started with a $10 share price, and over my time there, paid over $30 back to those investors. Many investors are seniors, and many families rely on dividend payments to earn their income. So I think it's very important. My favorite shareholder is my mom, who bought her shares in 1998 for $6. She waited for them to go down a bit, and has been collecting dividends since then. ARC also invested billions of dollars in Western Canada. And I feel very proud of that because I coined it that we were able to invest at home in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, in Alberta and British Columbia. It's very gratifying. And to see the world investing where we are from was very, very gratifying. We worked really hard to attract investors from the United States, from Europe, from Asia and Canada. And we also worked very hard to create a company that was worthy of attracting long-term investors. And one more important outcome, maybe the most important, is the mark you're leaving on people, is the culture of the company. I genuinely feel we created a culture together with our team of leadership and giving back to society. Many of the people at the heart of ARC's business were also at the heart of community leadership. I often think of the many great things the company has done and continues to do. There were weekly work bees at the food bank in Calgary. Many people were leaders in the United Way. The teams rented a bus every year in BC to take people, to the elderly people, to the rodeo. We supported hospitals. ARC's logo is on the Stars helicopters, to give you just a few examples. And one thing I believe is that the ultimate test in business is, would the company be missed if it disappeared? And I would say that ARC might not be a household name, but it's an integral part of our society. And we can answer confidently that it would be missed if it was gone. So as I move to some advice for the students, I want to talk about how over the years I asked myself many times, who will I be? I hope you can see that when I aligned my personal values and my interests with my vocation, that it led to wonderful outcomes. Standing here with some gray hair, I'm still challenging myself, still asking myself, who will I be? There is never a final answer to that question. It's sort of like chemistry and physics. So students listening, I wish you joy in your successful careers. Here are a few pieces of advice for you as you continue your journey. My first recommendation is to build relationships that endure and put effort into maintaining a connection to people in your network, even if you've been out of touch for a while. This is why I organized our 20th anniversary engineering reunion and have stayed involved as an alumnus on the EAT. Stay involved in industry associations. Make that extra effort to meet people. It's really important to show up. And on the screen, you'll see a poem in a moment. And this poem is part of my second recommendation to students, is just to be true to yourself, develop your own mantra, and set personal goals. This true to myself, I call this poem my true to myself motivator. I used to have it taped onto where I put my coat at my office, and when I opened the door, I could see it every day. And it's a poem, well-known poem by Rudyard Kipling, titled "If." And I read this poem to my board of directors when they promoted me to president in 2009 at our dinner. And the copy of the poem on the screen is gifted to me from my dad And yes, he typed it on a typewriter and gave me my first copy when I was 14. I think your mantra will be unique to yourself, and I encourage you to spend time on your mantra and time setting goals and tracking where you are in relation to your goals, and be true to yourself when you do that. It's also served me well to take that extra step to understand the business drivers of our economy. As you can tell, I love business, and I think it will help you in business if you take time to understand the macro, or the big picture, as some people call it, and also try to think globally, or use the global context of whatever industry employs you. Use your ability to manage data and facts. Our country and our world are in desperate need of facts and data-driven decision-making, and engineers are good at this. The world needs engineers to lead in research, in education, in business. Find your voice and you will be listened to. And my last bit of advice is enjoy every day. The years go by quickly. So in closing, it's important to mention that you may not always know exactly what's coming. I would have never dreamed of this night. As one of the 13,000 engineering alumni from the U of S, how did it end up being me standing here honoring Dr. C.J. Mackenzie exactly 100 years after his appointment as our first engineering dean in 1922. I proudly wear his family tartan woven into the new tie that I received from the college today. And there's a special history to Canadian engineering with our rings and our Saskatchewan Engineering School. Dr. Mackenzie was a great engineer and a great Canadian. He received the Military Cross in World War I and the Companion of the Order of Canada. He was our first dean, ultimately becoming the head of the National Research Council and Atomic Energy Canada. And I think that both Canada's proud military history and support of education are exemplified by C.J. Mackenzie. So Natasha and Dustin, you have thanked many of the sponsors. I wish to also thank some personal and corporate friends of the U of S. To you sponsors, thank you. In your generosity, you highlight to the students that corporations are ran by caring and generous people who support education. Thank you to Mancal Group, Fred, Elizabeth, Steve and team, and Crescent Point Energy, Craig Barb and team, and Arc Resources, Terry Hall and team, Prairie Sky Royalty, Andrew, Jim and team, and Herb and Madeline Pinder, and Whitecap Energy, Grant and team. Thank you also to friends who contributed to the EAT to support our students through this event tonight. Birchcliff Energy, Jeff, Chris and team, Vermilion Energy, Lorenzo and team, Arc Financial, Brian and team, Farm Credit Corp with Michael and team, Tim Hearn, Lachlan Curry, Mac Van Wieligen, and Callian and the Student Engineering Society. Other key sponsors include Graham with their incredible leadership, Victory Majors, Co-op Refinery, ASL Paving, and AODBT Architecture. Natasha and Dustin, thank you for your leadership and volunteering to MC tonight. Thank you, Dean Cresta, and thank you, Department Head of Mechanical Engineering, Jim Bugg, and to fellow board members who serve on the EAT. Kristen Kokia, Rochelle Ken, and Carlene Deutscher, thank you for organizing this incredible event. And thank you to all of you participating in honoring C.J. Mackenzie, both here in person and live stream. So to conclude, thank you, Jennifer, my best friend, U of S grad in education. We've been together through all of this, wing to wing and oar to oar. Thank you to my family, adult children, who's also supported my career, Anthony, who's U of C geology and a law degree from U of S, Carissa from Princeton University, Anastasia, who came to U of S for finance and MBA. Special nod to my younger, smarter brother Morris, who insisted I go into engineering. And thank you to my lifelong mentors and the most amazing people on my planet Earth, Mom and Dad. Rosemary and Morris, also U of S grads, sitting here in the front row, which is cool when you're my age. And makes the day even more special for me, and I dedicate this honor to them. So bless you all, and good night.
Thank you, Myron. I would like to invite Dr. Jim Bugg, Professor and Department Head of Mechanical Engineering, to the stage to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Mechanical Engineering is the host department of this year's gala, and as department head, it is my privilege to thank Myron for joining us this evening as the 45th C.J. Mackenzie Distinguished Lecturer. I'm also pleased to welcome his wife Jennifer and Mom Rosemary. Earlier today, I was also very happy to say hello again to his dad, Mr. Stadnyk, as I knew him when he was my grade 11 English teacher a few years ago. But that was a great time. It's great to see you again, Morris. So, you know the old saying, everyone in Saskatchewan knows everybody else. So I think it's true. So thank you, Myron, for those words, for your message, aligning your passions with your vocation, being true to yourself, and making friends with the people in finance on the other side of campus. This is all very, very good advice. Thank you very much for that. So each year, a new group of students leave our college, taking with them some of the knowledge and skills they will need to become the engineers the world needs. As a faculty member, it's deeply rewarding to see them succeed in their lives. It's even more rewarding when we see someone like Myron, who has clearly complemented his education with a passion for volunteerism. This truly makes him stand out. Myron, I believe your contributions to the engineering profession and to your community will truly inspire students who are just beginning their own careers. I would like to thank Natasha and Dustin for being our MCs, for representing the Department of Mechanical Engineering so capably. You've done a great job. You know, in earlier versions of this event, they used to have the department head act as MC. This is a significant upgrade, believe me. And I think they deserve certainly a warm round of applause. I would also like to thank the students and alumni that are joining us from afar on the live stream. I'd like to thank corporate and industry partners who have joined in person and through the live broadcast. For those that had an opportunity to participate in the Zoom social, thank you. I know how grateful our students are to spend some time with you. Many thanks go to Kelsey, Carlene, and their teams for organizing this event. Being an event planner these days is certainly an exciting affair, but they were very adept at keeping their eyes on the target, on a moving target for sure. So thank you very much for such a great event tonight. Finally, I would like to thank Prairieland Park again for hosting us tonight. Now, if Myron would join me back on stage, and actually, you know what I'm going to get you to do, Myron? I'm going to get you to bring up the gift I'm going to give you that I forgot to bring up when I came up a few minutes ago. No, not my phone, the box on the edge of the table. I'm going to make you work for this. And if you would hand it to me, then I can hand it back to you.
I'm still trying to get 51 in chemistry. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
And I think we're going to have a photo op here with a couple of others. Steve? Suzanne?
All right. This marks the end of our program this evening. I would like to thank the College of Engineering and the University of Saskatchewan for hosting this event. Tonight would not be possible without those who spent countless hours organizing this evening's program. Thank you to Kelsey Kogia and Carleen Deutscher.
Let's give them a huge round of applause. Thank you again to our dedicated sponsors. Thanks to everyone who attended this event. And most importantly, thank you, Mr. Myron Stadnik, for being our distinguished lecturer. Okay, everybody, good night.